Hello and good afternoon. Welcome, Xbox Nation, to this week's very special primetime gaming extra, if you will. Crispy Bomb and I are going to be with you for the next 35 minutes, give or take, and we're going to go over. We're going to give our hot take and opinions about the Xbox partner preview showcase that was 30 minutes. I know there are a lot of people who are reacting to it. Most people are lukewarm. We'll give our hot take scores. There were a couple of games that certainly were not for me. There were some games that definitely were for me. But before we get into all of that, obviously, welcome to everyone that's here. Again, this was just an impromptu kind of a thing. I saw that a lot of people were streaming, and I kind of wanted to get out of the way of everybody because, obviously everyone's jockeying for your view. And I figured, you know what? We'll go live at about 2. We'll spend about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, give or take. Maybe we have something else to talk about in the back end. And, well, we actually do. And we'll talk about the preview event that, again, this was announced like literally the day before. I didn't expect much. Honestly, I was hoping for like a major surprise. But you know what? To be honest with you, I'm okay with what they showed. But welcome, Crispy Bomb, joining us. I put up the bat signal. Here he is, folks. Originally, I was going to go just solo. 30 minutes just giving you my hot take, but we have someone to go back and forth with. Chris Baum, how you feeling there, dude?
Well, I mean, I'll just say they said it was a partner event, and that's what it was. One thing I'll take the L on is I thought maybe Square would be there somewhere, shape, or form. No Game Pass announcements, which, yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Even though they did a Sony move and Xbox Series X and S, and that's all they put on there.
Yeah,
Interesting thought process. At the same time, I think there's some people low scoring it, and they told us
it's fine. We're gonna get into it. Some of the hot takes, if you will. And look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that they could not have done better. They could always do better. This was a third-party preview event. They said that there was not going to be, and they indicated it yesterday, so there was no misconceptions of anything being ABK related here at this event. Obviously, ABK would no longer be a third-party event because, well, they are now first-party. Yesterday we saw Amy Hood making some news. We saw Satya Nadella making some news. So he made some very, very powerful statements. Those we are going to cover this evening. It's gonna so far the panel looks to be myself, Hargeet Chani as always. Everborn, unfortunately, is not going to be able to join us for the second week in a row because he's flying out very early, so he's got to catch him shut eye. We should have Keasante with us, and I'm pretty sure he's trying to really do his damnedest to make it. His OBM is going to be joining us. Again, just 4 of us, but we have a lot to cover. Obviously, David Jaffee has once again been making the news, and he did a video today that I actually watched, and it was incredibly telling about what is actually happening at PlayStation. And folks, I got to tell you, man, you've heard me talk about this for the last couple of weeks, that they're in a tailspin, right? They've lost their way, you've heard me say. And obviously it all starts at the top with Jim Ryan. He's gone. Was he fired? Did he see, did he get the F out of Dodge? We'll never know until someone writes a book. But a good friend of the show, put out a post about exactly what has gone on with some of their current and former leaders. And I got to tell you, man, if you are a fan of PlayStation, you might want to start looking at them with a crooked eye because they, as badly as they treat us, the consumer, they treat their employees even worse. And you know what? That's something else we're going to cover tonight. Again, we'll make mention of it because I have it in front of me. But Crispy, let's start with the Xbox partner preview event. Look, at the end of the day, I see a lot of people like Thanaros, good friend of the show. He gave it a 3 out of 10. Absolutely his call to do so. Him, like me, maybe he is expecting something big because Microsoft, listen, folks, they're on a high note right now. They're hitting on all switches. To me, I don't want to say it's a letdown because I didn't know what to expect. I am going to say, though, they showed 3 games that, for the most part, have been in the past notoriously under the watchful eye of Sony marketing. And of course, I'm talking about Alan Wake. I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid 3, which was shown actual gameplay in Unreal Engine 5. And of course, Robocop. Those 3 are the highlights for me personally. There was an indie game. Let me see if I have it here. Hold on a sec. I hate reading from my phone, folks, and I really hate when I do that. But there were again Ark Survival for some people. To me, I'm not going to play it. They had an RTS that's coming out for was announced for Xbox Game Pass PC. It will eventually come over to console. That's something I am definitely not going to play. Look, it's crispy. Kirby Zero Louise says Developer Direct worked great. Why do they keep changing the format every single time? So here's the thing, Kirby. I hear what you're saying, and I agree that if the next game we see is not almost identical, mirrored to a Developer Direct, then I'm going to have a problem with it. This was a third-party event that was meant to be very quick, very in and out, show you a bunch of games, show you some gameplay, show you some trailers. Boom, you're gone. Crispy, let's get your takeaway, man. I mean, a lot of people look. I see the scores. I mean, I'll read them out there. Anthony Chickmunk thinks it's an 8 out of 10. Dova 360 thinks it's a 7 out of 10. Let's see. We have Luis Rivera gives it a solid B. The Collector gives it a B plus. Now we have some low ones here. Nintendom the Otaku, 5 out of 10. Spider-Man 356 gives it a 3 out of 10. I get it. Quan the Terrible 6 out of 10. For me, 7 out of 10. That's my hot take score. Again, even Satanist says what I was very surprised that they showed Metal Gear Solid because I thought for sure that Sony locked that up. Well, apparently they didn't. Crispy, we'll get to everyone's scores as they come in, but I'm interested to get your hot take on this. Obviously, I don't know where to feel on it because I didn't anticipate a lot. I mean, in my mind, I had a different game making an appearance there. It was one of those you wish upon a stars. I'll get into that a little bit later about what I thought could potentially be there and how big of a deal it would be, but I understand why it wasn't. Let's hear from you, man.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Like, a lot of us were like, could Square be there?
Yeah.
Could Sega, like, yeah, you have the Yakuza update and all that, but like, could they release a new game into Game Pass? We got no Game Pass. And that's the problem. And that's why you see these 3 of 10s from people that we know are like huge Xbox fans. But the one thing I'll say is that didn't Sony on their last showcase show up and say this is a third party, and then they bookend it with a first party? Doesn't everyone remember that? Like, that happened. Go look it up. Like, let's be serious here. There's no reason to hate on this. They told you what it is. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Not for me. And this is where you go and say, like, a lot of games are not for me. Like the Ark thing, I'm going to tell you right now. Once I show it to him, because he's playing video games right now. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, he has a day off today. He's playing video games. But once I show him that Ark trailer, he's going to lose his shit. Okay? Not every game's for every gamer. It ain't for me. Ark is not for me, people. But I'll tell you right now, Robocop, yeah, it looks like it's still just like an afterthought, but we're watching it on YouTube. And those fidelities and all this stuff, all of a sudden we play it on the console and we're like, whoa, this is not what I thought it was. And then Alan Wake, I mean, the way they did it, I actually freaking love it.
Yeah, dude.
You have your first gameplay aspect from Alan Wake, even though I thought Alan Wake 2 was Sony, marketing. I guess not, because that was impactful. And my girl is going to go crazy for that. And me, I'm just going to sit there and watch. Because, I mean, what do I always say? I'm a multiplayer gamer. I want to interact with people. I want to talk to them. I want to have a conversation. That's me. But she ain't that about that life. She don't care. She gives 0 F's about it. And all she wants is to be enveloped in the game. And even for me, I was enveloped. I was like, whoa, this.
Yeah.
When they cut to that and everybody's like, oh, it's done. And then it wasn't, that's Phil. He's a gamer, man. Like, come on. Like, those are the things, like, if you actually watched it all the way through, you'd be like, okay, well, I could sit there at an 8 easily. You know what I mean? Like, but we're not talking about, the exclusives. I mean, y'all ready for this? No, I'm just, that's my thought process. Like, you could ignore how Spider-Man 2 launched, and you could not ignore. I choose not to ignore that too many people have shown me too many different things that are problems with the game. And it doesn't make me want to buy a PlayStation 5. And I said this to one person. I said, if the game was co-op, more people would have bought it. Because 2.5 million, yeah, that's great, but it ain't Sony level great. They used to do this. Walkmans, all these other things. They used to engage the public in some way, shape, or form. They don't do that anymore. They don't care what you think. They need to figure it out. It ain't Xbox. Xbox, I mean, you see the smiling faces when they came to Blizzard. Did you see them? Did you see how
we're going to be talking about that tonight because like you sort of hold the picture with Phil sticking his tongue out, like that's a guy having fun. Like that is a guy that after
he loves Blizzard games though, Boom. Like people don't know that. Like, dude, what did he say? Diablo 4. Like, oh, I've been playing with all kinds of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, he loves that, but he also realizes that there's something lost on it. And what better person? Like, if you're a fan of Blizzard, I'm not. I'm a fan of Bethesda, and I feel like what I've played from Starfield so far is pretty amazing. I'm just a multiplayer gamer. I love talking to people. And I felt like there's a lot of multiplayer games, but a lot of single player games in this one little like smidge. Like they told you this is what it is, and they gave it to you. But they also gave you a little like, well, I didn't really. Oh, you showed me gameplay, and it's from a game that you haven't announced fucking 12 times. Sorry for the language.
That's all right.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you gotta understand that Xbox, they're not gonna throw Call of Duty out there. They can't. It's against the regulations. Like they can't do any of that. Like, yeah, you might see it in Game Pass next year at this time, but until then, you're not getting like what you think. No, that's not the partner. That's what they call a partner. Indies, everything else. Like, come on. Like they did what they said, and I respect that, and I give them an 8.
Look, I'll put it to this way. I get a lot of people going to walk away from it disappointed. This is one of those shows that was it came out of absolutely nowhere. It's a bonus show, folks. Now, is that am I making excuses? The answer is no, I am not. I don't have to make excuses for a $1 trillion company. What I can say is, for me, like I said, for me personally, there were several games there that I appreciated. Okay, so I'm going to break down what I liked, okay, and why I kind of give it a 7 out of 10. Now, maybe it goes up to an 8, but that's not because I feel like I'm compelled. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is not for me, but that game is for a bunch of people. And it does have, I saw people talking about it's very Animal Crossing esque. You catch bugs, you catch
Sims,
fish. It's a
OG
Sims thing.
Sims, yeah.
Okay, listen, not for me. I Cairo Will Not Die looks dope. That's an indie game. I've never heard of the studio before. That looks really good. The Chinese Room is releasing Still Wakes the Deep. I'm sorry, it's a horror game. It looks dope. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know much about it, but I know that I've heard. You saw, and heard screams.
That should be in VR though. Don't you agree? Like, I think
it
that
could
would
be.
be hit
Yeah,
different.
it could
if
be a
it was
VR game for
just in
sure.
VR.
But again, that's a game that I don't know how well it's going to sell. If I didn't see whether or not it was in Xbox Game Pass or it wasn't, I didn't see that. That would be a great one to add to Xbox Game Pass. Robocop Rogue City. I thought for sure we were going to get an announcement that one of the big three there was going to be in Game Pass. Whether it be Robocop, Metal Gear, or Alan Wake, I was like, okay, one of these three are going to be an Xbox game as a surprise announcement. And listen, these games, to put a game into Game Pass costs millions of dollars. Microsoft just spent $70 billion. I don't know if there, if it was in the fiscal books to add, spend another, what would $5 million to get a game in there? I don't know. But for me, so the first game, not so much. A Cairo Will Not Die looks dope. That's for me. Still Wakes the Deep. That's definitely for me. Robocop Rogue City looks freaking amazeballs. I already bought it. I don't care. If it would have been in Game Pass, well, then I would try to get my money back. I'm not going to front, but I bought it anyway. Dungeons of Hindenburg. Definitely not for me. Not because it's a female protagonist. It's just not a game for me. Spirit of the North. Again, seems like a definite Game Pass title. I think I would have given it the old college effort. Maybe it comes to Game Pass. Maybe I play it. Definitely, it's kind of like 50-50 for me. Now, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater in Unreal Engine 5. We got to see gameplay. Looks absolute amazeballs. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
Okay, the finals. Definitely not for Boom. It's another stab at gas. It's on Xbox. I don't know if it's exclusive to the platform. It looks like Apex Legends meets Fortnite, and the people, when they explode, they turn into coins, kind of like Ready Player One. They're definitely not for me. Mana Lords, 1,000% not for me. It's an RTS. It looks okay at best. Fine. Ark Survival Ascended. Again, for a lot of people, including Crispy's son, he's going to go crazy for it, because people have been waiting for this. People love Ark Survival. I don't. It's just not my bag, and it's fine. And of course, rounding it out, closing out the preview event, was a trailer and some gameplay of Alan Wake 2. And Alan Wake 2, again, another game I already purchased. I'm in the bag. I'm dropping Spider-Man, a Halo, everything. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna play it. I love Alan Wake, the first one. I love the American Nightmare DLC that came the way of Xbox Arcade. Beat both of them. Got all the way through almost to the end of the remaster. And, I'm like, I know what happens here. So I just never finished it. Other games just got in my way. Alan Wake 2, and we were talking about this in the green room, Crispy, very Resident Evil 4-esque, right? Like, that looks so good. So, Crispy, overall, what's your personal takeaway What score do you give the Xbox partner preview?
Well, I said it an 8. I think you should
Okay.
up your score. I think you should go from a 7 to an 8. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm teetering because, like I said, if I look at what games weren't for me, like a Dragon is not for me, Dungeons of Hittenberg are not for me, the Finals and Mana Lords not for me, Ark Survival, even though it's not for me, I appreciate the fact that that is going to be exclusive for Xbox for a bit. I don't know how long that is. I know that's coming into Xbox Game Pass. So yeah, I mean, I think I can settle in on an 8 and be comfortable without feeling like I was bullied into an 8 because most of the games were for me. And like I said, the big surprise still wakes the deep. I don't know how many people are into horror. I love horror. And that game looks phenomenal. I don't really play a lot of the Chinese room games, but what they showed has me excited because, well, it's a horror game. And of course, I was already in the bag for Robocop, already in the bag for Metal Gear Solid. Did not know how that was going to look. We do now because remember, when it was shown at Sony's show, all we saw was animals eating animals. Like, who gives a shit? Like, what are we doing here? At least we got a chance to see Unreal Engine gameplay, and it looks good. And Alan Wake gameplay looked phenomenal. So yeah, I'm comfortable with an 8. Again, this is. I mean, I'm not making excuses for the $1 trillion company. We got what we got. Some people enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm starting to see the the scores, and it's a really mixed bag. And you know something? Don't be ashamed of your score. If you think it's a 3, then it's a 3. If you think that it's a 10 out of 10, listen, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm comfortable with an 8 out of 10, only because there were more games that were for me than they weren't for me. And like I said, even though I don't play Ark, and I probably never will, it is definitely for a group of people that enjoy that. And listen, it's a sequel, and people are going to play it. Let's see. First of all, Lady Foxfire, how's everything, darling? Let me go into, because I'm going to catch up on the super chats right now. This YouTube has been weird, man. I'll because I know you said you put a super chat in there. I want to read it because obviously we're not owed anything here, so we appreciate all of the support. Let me go into the analytics, and here are the supers, and that is weird. I don't see it. Lady Foxfire. I'm here. I'm actually on. Let me refresh. Let me just refresh and see if it pops up. I'll keep checking. I will definitely read it once it gets up here. But let's. The Collector drops the first super chat of the day of $5 and says, "Is it true Insomniac Games got rid of the LGBTQ parts in Spider-Man for selling in the Middle East? What a great company, so progressive."
That is correct, sir.
Well, I did not know that. I know that there are parts. I literally just finished helping a kid ask somebody to a homecoming, which I thought was that's real life. That's great. If I put it to this way, I don't know about business, folks. I'm not a business major. I'm a human being. I'm a realist. I think everybody matters. You folks know how I feel about this. Mrs. Boom and I are very stout in our opinion, and everyone, and I mean everyone, is welcome here. I don't care what sex, what creed, what religion, what orientation. Doesn't matter. You're a human being, and you want to act like a decent one. You're welcome in our home anytime. If, in fact, Insomniac decided that they needed to remove this for sales, I'm gonna tell you this right now, straight up. That's disgusting. And I mean, Crispy got no reason to lie, and the Collector's got no reason not to ask the question. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I know money's important. I know it pays the rent and everything, but principle, integrity, that's supposed to matter. And I know in the Middle East, they even though being gay is a thing, right? It's okay. It's absolutely okay, but it's not okay in that country, and people get killed for it, and it's very unfortunate. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know that Ted Price doesn't. He makes the calls for his studio. I don't know if he makes the business calls for SIE. Wouldn't imagine that he does. And they want to sell Spider-Man. Me personally, I'd have been like, well, I guess we ain't selling over there then. That's just me. But like I said, I'm an integrity kind of a guy. We have Bold Alpha Wolfpack. Whoa, holy cow. It drops a very generous, outstanding $20 super chat and says, all I know is Marvel's Wolverine has to be 10 times better than Bugman 2. The campaign is way too short. Only a handful of new random encounters. Yes, that's a big problem. Can't replay story missions. No new game plus there. They said that's coming in December, supposedly. Zero replay value. And they said Starfield lacks content. Dude, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I just hit level 20 in Spider-Man. I think I'm 15, closer to 16 hours. I'm having fun. I'm not going to front, but I'm going to tell you this right now. The game is very samey. The encounters that you're talking about, like the crime stuff that just pops up on the map and you go swinging to it, is you would think that at the third version, there's a part with Spider-Man, there's Miles Morales, here's Spider-Man 2. This is the third iteration, that there would be, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 different encounters, right? To keep it exciting. Like, you never know what you're going to get. I'm here to tell you, folks, it's so samey, it's almost predictable. I've taken 10 people to the hospital so far. I've put out, I think, 5 building fires. I've stopped a tanker truck from exploding 7 times. I've stopped someone being kidnapped half a dozen times. The only interesting, seriously, folks, I'm not shitting on the game. I'm just being, it's super chat. I want to respond properly. There was only two instances in my 15 plus hours that I have played that were like, oh my God, this is dope. There was one where I had to meet the fire chief and I had to take the spider bot and go search and do some search and rescue for survivors. That was dope. I enjoyed that. There was one where I came upon 2 brothers shooting off fireworks. One guy gets burnt. You got to take him to the hospital. Okay. You get him to the hospital. He's like, hey, Spider-Man, listen, I bought these illegal fireworks from the docks over there. We do it because our brother's missing, and we do it every year, and hopefully that he'll see it and come home. Like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because that's a real thing. Like, oh, okay, I can get into that. And I get over there, and I stop the illegal fireworks sales, but they're selling guns. That was dope. But that's only 2 times. Like, look, it's gorgeous looking. I really am enjoying the story and the relationship between Miles and Peter. I have not gotten to the MJ stuff, which is a lot of people are really pissed off about. I hate those sneaky missions with her. I hate it. Oh my God. But again, if you're asking why I haven't gotten there, it's because I'm a map guy. Every time I see something, I'm doing like the Prowler. The Prowler stuff with Miles' uncle is pretty dope because each one of it's like a giant like living puzzle. You got to figure out to get the equipment. So that is kind of dope. But it is what it is. Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Work sucks. Yeah, dude, I'm sorry about that. Work does suck. But it's better than the Sony show has shown off so far this year. I will tell you this. This is definitely better than both Sony shows. I'm going to tell you that right now, straight up. That's not an exaggeration. The Sony shows were garbage at best. Nintendo no Otaku drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says this. It's a 5 out of 10 because there was only one new Xbox Game Pass announcement. Yeah, I hear you. I enjoyed most of the games shown with Finals, Mana Lords, and Alan Wake 2 being highlights. You see? And that's crazy because 2 games that I didn't care about, he did. There you go. That's why not every game is for every gamer. Let's see. Now I'm gonna Lady Foxfire. I'm gonna reload it and see. Yeah, it did not come up again. I'm so sorry. Request a refund. You can go into PayPal and request a refund if you don't see it, because it is definitely not coming up. Jonas the Dad drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Thanks for being fun. Awesome place for all." I mean, listen, dude, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not getting on my pedestal because we don't do that here. This show was built when Mrs. Boom and I sat down to, when she was supporting me, like I didn't even know what to do, how to make a channel. I was like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. She's like, listen, make it fun, be transparent, and put the community first. And that's me. That's how I was as a cop, right? That's what I did as a police officer. I did community affairs. I did youth officer work my whole career. I mean, I locked up a lot of bad guys, yes. But, what you see is what you get. This is how I was in uniform, folks. This is what I am. But I appreciate the compliment, brother. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. So, look, we're 30 minutes in. And I can't, because you're not going to be joining us tonight, and we're probably gonna revisit this at some form, because I'm going to want to hear from OBM. I want to hear, of course, from Kay Asante. I definitely want to hear what Hargeet has to say. I want to do a quick shout out to Post Up, who is he's an amazing human being. He's consistently and constantly getting out there in the socials. And, he has some fun, pokes at some fun at other Sony fans, but he's been doing the gaming lord's work by putting out information that I think is incredibly important, especially if you're a Sony head. Like what I'm about to read to you folks, straight up, should make you no longer a fan of Sony, because they keep their behavior with the price gouging is nothing short of egregious. You defend it, there's something wrong with you. I'm straight. There is something. Go sit down on a couch, man. Unless you got that kind of spendable income, don't do that. Don't tell Sony you'll pay $90 for the next Spider-Man game, because you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna freaking charge you for that. So obviously, David Jaffee has been making the rounds, Crispy Bomb. And he put out a video yesterday, which I watched, and I'm going to be fair here. I told you folks, I keep Jaffee at arm's distance, not because I think he's a terrible human being. He's a little rated R for my taste, and that's fine. He does his things his way. I do things my way. I don't always agree with him, but he put out a video regarding Connie Booth. Now, Connie Booth, you didn't know who she was. She was a very high-ranking official. And responsible for some of Sony's biggest IP launches under her tenure, dating all the way back to Crash Bandicoot. Well, the rumor yesterday, according to David Jaffee, was that she was let go. Now, we weren't sure whether or not she was, packed it in. Traveling was too much for her. She has over 30 years there. It's time to retire. That's not what happened, folks. As a matter of fact, thanks to, of course, Post Up once again, he says, breaking news confirmed by David Jaffee. And I'm going to read it verbatim, okay? I'm going to read it verbatim, and then we're going to dig into this. Connie Booth was not let go, folks. She did not retire. According to David Jaffee's video today, she was straight up fired. And check this out. Confirmed that her team, because they were so disgusted, walked off the job. The entire team, folks. So apparently, she's a good lady, according to David Jaffee. Sean Layden, the face of PlayStation. Now, I don't know how many people you liked him, you loved him, you hated him. I'm going to tell you this straight up. I loved Sean Layden's PlayStation. I loved when he was out there. He was so excitable. He was so happy to be out there. He was having fun. He was slapping high fives. That's a cool PlayStation. Well, you know what we learned from David Jaffee? Folks, first of all, when he was let go, we didn't hear from this dude for a year. he was like in witness protection, kind of like Jimbo, right? He probably signed NDAs out the ass not to say anything about nothing, right? Did he get a golden parachute? Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you what I do know. Those great folks over at Sony SIE, according to David Jaffee, Sean Layden was escorted out of the building by security when he was let go. Wow. More news. Jim Ryan was convinced that Gas Games was the future and told all of the PlayStation first-party studios to start making those games. PlayStation Studios, this is where we hear the inner turmoil, Crispy, were unhappy about the direction, which is why they have no first-party games outside of Spider-Man this year, and probably no first-party games next year, because Wolverine ain't coming out to the holiday of 25 at the earliest. Check this out, Crispy. The cancellation of factions made a lot of PlayStation studios upset, causing internal turmoil between that and the Gas Games direction that was Jim Ryan's new ideology. Sony blamed it on Connie Booth and fired her for it. Whoa. The vast majority of people who worked under Connie are gone, and it seems that they left at the same time as she did. Angie Smets is awesome, so no negative things to say about her. That's what he said. Apparently, she's going to be the one taking over. I don't know who Angie Smets is. And lastly, apparently, and this is where you know they're in some trouble, Herman Holtz was in big favor of cutting all of the Japanese studios away from PlayStation, and Jaffee's contact wasn't a big fan of Herman Holtz. I mean, Crispy, there's a lot to get in there. I mean, folks, I've been saying this for weeks. What I've been saying, it's silly. It's a silly statement. Sony's in a pickle. And I have people saying, Boom, you're an idiot. You know nothing about gaming. Oh, okay. That's fine. But I think I'm onto something here. I think Sony is in such a tizzy, they're in such turmoil that it is not going to end well. And we don't know. There could be more cuts. Herman Holtz could be fired. You know, there were some people suggesting that Shuhei Yoshida, who normally tweets, hasn't been saying much or nothing. There was some concern for Shuhei. Could you imagine if that's the last dude of the old school PlayStation days? Crispy, what the H is going on?
They are in a tizzy.
Is Rome burning from within, sir?
They're in a tizzy. You're right. That's the gist of it. They're in a tizzy. They don't know what to do. Microsoft, I mean, we've given them crap about Mixer, about freaking Windows Phone, about all stuff that would probably be more relevant than ever right now, and they didn't stick to it. Do you know what they stuck to? Multiplayer games that had a gas element. And that's the difference. Like, saying, I'm going to do gas games. That's not the point. Yes, there's a few. There's freaking, Fortnite. There's a few games that really like even Halo's multiplayer is kind of all of a sudden creeping back in again. Think about that. But they're doing it different. You can subscribe to Game Pass. You can buy the game. You're going to play it anyway. You're going to get probably perks from it.
Yep.
All these simple little things that, when it comes to like, hey, is my purchase justified? Sony hasn't been doing that for a while. They don't know how to. They release single play. I said to one person, I said, if Spider-Man 2 was co-op, I guarantee it would have sold 5 million instead of 2.5.
No doubt. Yeah.
I'm guaranteeing it. I guarantee it. If that was the case, which you'll never find out because they're not going to do it. They are caught in this hardware selling retrospect that they
It's just
can't
an
get
old
out
school.
of.
Yeah.
It's not working anymore. Netflix proved it a long time ago. What happened to Blockbuster? They died, and they were selling actual physical discs to you. So tell me that. Tell me how, after all these years, and that was like 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing here? Why are you defending something that is illogical and stupid and it just doesn't work? And they continue to prove it. It's like if you said Phil and Sarah Bond left Microsoft tomorrow and tell me that that's logical, that that's not going to make you be like, whoa, what the hell is going on now? But they don't seem to care. They don't care about who's leaving and stuff like that. All I saw was Blizzard people, like high up Blizzard people, just being super
Yesterday
excited.
it seemed to be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like you saw so many people with. I mean, listen. Please come back tonight at 7 p.m. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Obviously, we're gonna talk about some of the real seriousness about what Satya Nadella had to say. I mean, folks, you folks on the PlayStation side, you poked and you prodded and you finger pointed and you made fun of.
We just want them to
now,
compete.
dude, the sleeping giant is awake. And I'm telling you right now, Microsoft is going to be so entrenched with gaming. You heard what Satya Nadella said. Oh, we're doubling down. Doubling down says that and again, I'm waiting for some confirmation from Everborn. He said that he had heard that the board was like, are there any quick investments that we could make to continue to build profit? That, you know what that's like? Who's next? Who's next? Who could we acquire next? I'm telling you, I said it yesterday. I said it on Monday's show. I said it last Friday. Crispy, you were there. Okay? I'm here to tell you that the doomsday clock for PlayStation starts. And King actually corrected me. He says, boom, that clock started Friday the 13th. I said it starts November 10th, 2023. Because once that Call of Duty gets out and all of their Call of Duty fans over at PlayStation continue to fund, more acquisitions because they're going to buy Call of Duty, and that's Microsoft money now. When the next Call of Duty gets dropped into Game Pass next year, it's a wrap. Yeah, it's going to be on PlayStation. It's going to be on the Switch 2. It's going to be on PC. Great. But you're going to get it in Game Pass. And I'm telling you, you think those numbers for Starfield that are record-breaking for Xbox Game Pass in its history are big? Watch.
Just watch out. That's all I gotta say. You know what, dude? Like, and that's the one thing. Y'all could say what you want, but me, Boom, bunch of other people that have been on the panels throughout time have stood on this hill. Microsoft is finally getting their pulse on gaming. And fortunately for us, they're also providing us with a great deal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just too good. It's too good. And you can sit there and say, oh, it's this Game Pass. I mean, 80s. I got no problem with a game that has an 80. I'm sorry. And that's the way I look at Metacritic. I'm like, if it has an 80, if it has less than a 75, I'm like, is that really good? And then I look at the actual comments. If I'm on the cusp, I'm like, you know what? Let me actually read what people are saying. And sometimes it's just absolute BS. Yeah. But other times it's like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. And then, you might get it for a couple dollars and or download it on Game Pass, whatever it may be. I mean, I loved Outriders, but I mean, the game was kind of meh.
It
You
was
know what I mean?
okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it had elements that I loved. Of course, I'm a Gears player. It had elements of Gears, but also like you could have done better. And that's what you got to say. You got to say, you know what? Like, yeah, that was on Game Pass. Yeah, it downloaded well. Everybody bought it, but nobody's talking about it anymore. Like, why the hell are you guys talking about Redfall? Ain't nobody from Xbox playing that game right now. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
I mean,
You know what
look,
I mean?
well, I did see them tweeting, trying to keep themselves relevant. It's Halloween, obviously. Look, I'm not going to front. I got. Go look at my my gamer tag. I have a ton of time in Redfall. I make no apologies for it. Zero apologies. I put another, I think, 15 to 17 hours when the update came out. They were tweeting some Castlevania stuff with it, which I thought was pretty cool. And I'm like, oh my God, that'd be so great to get like, Castlevania skins or something. It turns out it's not going to happen. Look, at the end of the day, they promised 60 frames. They delivered 60 frames. They still have some promises they have to keep. I think there's some DLC coming. I think there are 2 new characters. So I'll continue playing. Look, I mean, Microsoft, even though the one hiccup in 2023, you can say that of course it's Redfall. It's fine. But what what you also can say, all of Sony's 2023 is a flop. And did you see the story today, Crispy Bomb, that the disk drive is going to require internet connection for you to be able to use it?
Oh yeah, though that's just Sony destroying the stands narratives.
Yeah,
That's
but I'm
all
just
it
saying, but wasn't what I mean? I mean, DRM is back. You know what I'm saying? And apparently, no one's making.
is. Yeah, no, well, that's what I'm saying. Like they used that narrative for years, and if you understand actual logic and the way we're going, like for them to not actually allow it to be hacked or anything like that, you have to understand that they have to have a constant connection to that piece of
I mean,
hardware.
makes
So,
sense.
I mean, I get it, but also it's bad timing. You've already released 2 peripherals that have no relevance whatsoever. You can tell me they
Yeah, it's
do.
bad.
I mean, if you're a PlayStation fan, you're going to tell me all day that it does, but it doesn't. Like it would just be like a VR headset right now for Xbox. I don't know how much I'd be interested in that. Like, yeah, there's certain
Yeah,
games, but is that worth the purchase? I mean, you can charge me $600 like PlayStation did.
that that thing is gonna
No,
be
I'm
that thing is
good
gonna be
now.
at Dollar Tree or Five Below before you know it. Don't waste your money on it.
Five blow. Oh, God, that's even worse.
Yeah. Listen, let me catch up on these super chats, and then we'll do a quick outro. And of course, we'll talk about tonight. What we're going to cover tonight. There's so much news, folks. It's bananas. We had almost 400 people here, and again, this is a bit of an impromptu. I know a lot of people are like underwhelmed with the showcase. I feel comfortable giving it an 8 out of 10 because, like I said, there were more games there for me than there weren't there. And the games that they showed, I would have thought for sure that almost all of them would have been marketed by Sony, like for real. Like I'm shocked that they were able to be shown on an Xbox stage. We have JJ saying 117. Welcome to the program, brother. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hey, Boom, love the podcast." Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. First time listening live. More showcase is better than no showcase. I'm still waiting for Sony's secret showcase. Yeah, I think Sony's waiting for their secret showcase as well. But thanks so much for that. We also have okay, Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, "I honestly think Insomniac missed the mark in Spider-Man 2. I don't see how it can compete for Game of the Year, and it's not better than God of War Ragnarok. It's disappointing." I'm gonna tell you this right now, straight up. If that game is in the game of in this year, in 2023, I'm not being disrespectful. I love Ted Price. I love Insomniac. You know, I talk about being a Spider-Man stan and an MCU guy. I'm gonna tell you this right now. if they moved it to 10 games in 2023, Spider-Man cannot even be a part of that conversation. I'm sorry. Not with the bugs. There are just too many of them. It's just I'm sorry. I'm having fun with it. I think graphically it's beautiful. I'm finding the story with Miles and Peter very endearing to some extent, but that is definitely not a game of the year game. I'm sorry. It's not. It's an 8 out of 5, 8.5 out of 10 for me, and I'm happy and proud to give it that, but there's no way that this game should be anywhere near the talk of game of the year. Not this year. There are too many games that you'd have to step over to allow for that, and I won't be a part of that conversation. We also have Maxie Coleman drops a very generous $5 super chat and says she was fired. Team 2 trimming fat. The CEO retired, but no replacement. No need to. The Japanese are already in talks for a sale. My guess is Apple. I mean, that's something to be, when you start getting, when you get rid of divisions and you're cutting, like high profile people away from your business. I mean, they very well could be potentially setting themselves up for sale. Bold Alpha Wolfpack. Wow, he drops an additional, very ridiculous $20 super chat and says, I want to see Phil and Microsoft brutalize something before his time is done. I'm talking 3 to 4 games hitting every year that are competitive for Game of the Years. That's what I'm excited for. Listen, dude, you're gonna get your wish. Next year,
not done.
Yeah,
Phil's not done.
Phil is I would say 5 years, give or take, say before he rides over
I
the
agree.
sunset. I think absolutely, without even considering it otherwise, his replacement or his successor, if you will, is going to be Sarah Bond. There's just no doubt about it. She is in the embodiment of what Xbox is, and she's an amazing, powerful, A-level executive. And I think she's literally going to follow Phil. Again, it's just my opinion. JJ saying 117 drops an additional $2 super chat and says Sony needs to return to their Japanese roots. I absolutely agree. They should get weird again. And when they were weird, they had really, really cool games. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, we've seen the fable of the torso. We've seen the fable of the tortoise and the hare play out with Microsoft and Sony. By the end, the hare was exhausted, and the tortoise was a titan. And I think we all know who the hare and who the tortoise is for sure. But listen, Crispy Bomb, brother, thanks so much for joining us here today. 50 minutes in and out. Sell your brand. Where can people reach out to you, potentially strike up a conversation on social media? And where else could we find you potentially this Friday?
At Chris Bomb on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't care. Crispy Bomb 28 on Xbox Live. And yeah, that's it. Just Breakfast of Boom, Friday, 10 a.m. We'll see you then.
Thank you so much, Chris. We super appreciate you being here, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for about an hour, just a little under an hour. Again, don't forget, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are really going to be digging into the fiscal call, some of the big, powerful statements, of course, from Amy Hood and, of course, Satya Nadella. And again, we're going to be breaking down some of the things that's been going on with Sony. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, a big thank you to all of the outstanding super chats. They were amazing. Thank you so much for continued support. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. So take care. Enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming. And we'll see you tonight on a new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends.